because the other day I was texting my buddy Ty, and I'm like, hey, check out this poem I wrote about boo hags. He's like, what's a boo hag? Anyway, so when I was a little kid, in fact, it was the night that Princess Diana died, because I remembered my parents were out by the campfire, and I was like, hey, watching TV, and I'm like, hey, Princess Diana died, and they were like, oh, okay, Princess Di died, thanks. And anyway, I was out by the fire at one point by myself, and my parents had rented these cassette tapes from the library with like spooky stories on it, and there were a couple, whatever, but one of them was about boo hags, and this boo hag, like, she looked like a normal person, and then someone in the town married the boo hag, and then she would take off her skin and fly around at night, and it has to do with sleep paralysis too. But anyway, I remember just the way that the person was shrieking in the tape, and like the sound was bouncing off the trees, and the campfire sound, it just like really stuck with me. And really made me like afraid of boo hags. And then so then as I got older, I continued to look into boo hags, and I've always found them very interesting. And then I wrote this, well, I wrote a short story, kind of like my own personal version of the story that I heard from the library cassette tape. I made a version of that and I put it on YouTube. No one liked it. That's okay. I'm not likable. But I thought it was pretty funny. The way I wrote it, I think it was really good, but I didn't do a great job of like reading it all at once. But recently I wrote a poem about boo hags, because a lot of what I talk about is boo hags, and I wanted to go through some stuff to show you that I've done my homework. And this is a cool poem. Shack so sweet for my love. That's in reference to some of the legends where the guy ends up marrying a boo hag. Sheds her skin, flies above, because boo hags will take off their skin at night, then fly around and collect people's breath for their boo daddy. Insomniac, paralyzed. That's a reference to the sleep paralysis angle of it. Dying, drained for her lies. You know, she's deceptive. She's lying. And you're dying as she steals your energy. Boo hag, reaping your breath. Riding to the brink of death. Parasite, draining life. Deceptive demon wife, another reference to some of the legends or some of the stories where they end up marrying the boo hag. Stalking for victims to ride, and then crawls inside the hide, meaning the body of the bride, meaning they can switch with people. Like, you could be married to someone, and then a boo hag ends up just killing them and taking their skin and then going in their place and then stealing your breath and your energy. That cried and died. We assume that happened when she was being murdered in a boo hag homicide. Homicide means murder. Broom by my bed, awaken almost dead. You're supposed to put a broom next to your bed to because if a boo hag comes into your room and she sees that there's a broom, they have to count the bristles. 1, 2. They have to count them, and that distracts them until it's sunlight. And they don't like to be out in the sun. They'll turn to dust if the sun hits them without their fake skin on. So anyway, Burned by my bed, awake and I was dead. Compulsion eins, zwei, drei, which is German for 1, 2, 3, because I think it's cool. And I'm sure there were German immigrants down there in the South. This is a Southern thing, by the way. And compulsion eins, zwei, drei, she counts a straw, I don't die. How old are you? Which is what that means in French. Quel âge as-tu? Because boo hags, like, they can get really old. And I thought it sounded cool. So that's why I put it in there. Hag riding you, that's a saying down south. Like, if you look really tired, someone will be like, oh, is the hag riding you? But that can be confusing. Sulfur reeking true. Oh yeah, they boo hags smell like sulfur. Stolen virgin, like the skin of the person, and the skin brand new. That's awesome. Good writing. Slither through the smallest crack because they can, because they don't have skin. I don't know. It's just I tried to incorporate as much of the legend, even the parts that contradict the other parts, into the poem as possible, because just to get as much boo hag knowledge out there in a pleasing way. Slither through the smallest crack, death of sunrise before she's back, because she's caught without her skin out in the sun. She freaking tears to dust. Dead bitch. Soul can't be saved until I kill Boo Daddy's slave. Your soul can't be saved because, she steals your soul and stuff. That's part of your breath. But she's taking it to her Boo Daddy, which is, not in all of it. Not everybody does Boo Daddy, but some of it does Boo Daddy, and I think that that's an awesome thing to say. And, so yeah, she has to bring it back to her Boo Daddy. Soul can't be saved until I kill Boo Daddy's slave. Salt her skin, because, while she's out and flying without her skin, you're supposed to put salt inside of it so that when she comes back into it, it burns. You can also put Cajun spice in there. Like something like that would work too. Because, oh yeah, that's also why I did a little bit of French, because there's a Cajun angle too. Anyway, you can put that on her skin to get rid of boo hags. Salt her skin while she flies, burn with sin, then she dies. Pretty self-explanatory if you know things. Now this is like my favorite line, because I think it flows so good. Go like Geechee's sister so, told the fields and bleed to grow, haint blue indigo. The Geechee people, they were slaves, but they went and they spent all this time growing freaking indigo to make paint just for freaking boo hags, which is awesome. And so that's why I thought it was a cool line. It was just so that they could paint the window frames and paint the doors. Because apparently the boo hags would think that it was water, because I guess they're retarded. But yeah, that's why you paint it blue, so that the boo hags don't cross the windows or the doors. Paint the window frame, paint the door, kill the haint. They call them haint. Haints. The Geechee, they call them haints, and they also call them boo hags. But yeah, down with the whore. That's an expression that my buddy Nervous Jimmy, one time he drove by in his concrete truck, and I was like moving a train around, and I threw up the horns, and he said, and I yelled, throw up the horns, while he was driving by, and he stopped his truck, and then he got out, and he's like, what did you say? And I said, throw up the horns. He's like, I thought you said down with the whore. And I was like, oh, that would have been cooler. He's like, yeah, that's what Vikings would say before they would, like, do what they do to ladies. And I was like, dude, that's pretty sweet. So, down with the whore, you can call a boo hag a whore. But I think it's appropriate. Ashley said she didn't like that part, but I like it. And I like Nervous Jimmy. And that's a little bit of an explanation about my poem, which I think is awesome. And Joe Gall's gonna make it a song, and I'm gonna help.